Good morning, everyone. I am Teacher Jarrett, and today we are going to be talking about our essential question. And that essential question is, how do animals survive in nature? We are going to read about how animals in the wild find food. Okay, so the story genre is nonfiction, right? And we can see in the picture that there is an animal in the background, right? And the animal is let's go down and see. The animal is a tiger, right? It has black stripes and orange fur and white fur and yellow eyes, right? We can see its eyes are yellow. So the name of this story is Go Wild, right? So last time we talked about vultures and how vultures find food, right? This time we're going to talk about other animals and how they find food to survive. Okay, so let's go to the next page and start reading. Animals need food to live and grow. But all animals don't eat the same things. Some big animals, such as hippos, eat plants. A hippo can eat more than 130 pounds of grass. And a pound is a unit that is used in America. This is similar to about 55 to 60 kilograms. So 55 to 60 kilograms of grass. That's a lot of grass. So the animals need food. Remember, we talked about food, right? Food is something that you eat in order to survive. Food has nutrients and vitamins in it, right? Yeah. And so a hippo can eat more than 130 pounds of grass. So the word more, remember, the word more means something greater than what you have now, right? So if we start with 130 pounds, if we have 130 pounds of something, a hippo can eat a number greater than 130 pounds. So maybe 140 pounds or 135 pounds. At least 130 pounds though, okay? So here's a hippo, and he's so big, but he still just eats grass, right? Yeah, he doesn't eat other animals. He just eats plants. So let's go to our next page. Some small animals eat plants too. A squirrel eats loads of plant seeds. They like nuts and grains. A squirrel can smell a nut and find it even in the snow. So remember, we said the word find means to locate, right? So you're looking, you found a nut in the snow, right? You located a nut. So that means if you're looking, eventually you see what you're looking for, right? So here's a picture of a squirrel, and it's holding some seeds in its hand, right? So this said that even if it snows, and the snow might be this deep, a squirrel can run on top of the snow and smell a seed way down here, right? Yeah, so that is a squirrel, and they eat plants too. They're like the hippo, but the squirrel is small, so they just eat little bitty nuts, right? The hippo is big, so it eats a lot of grass. Okay, let's go to the next page. Some animals hunt and eat other animals. First, this big cat runs fast to catch its meal. Then it will use its claws and teeth to eat. So this animal is a cheetah. It's like a big cat. Do you have a cat in your house? Or maybe you have one that lives outside? So this is a big version of that cat. And it can run very fast. It can run almost 70 miles per hour. And so that's like 110 to 120 kilometers per hour. That's almost as fast as your car. It can run that fast. And when it runs and catches the animal. And then it uses its teeth and its claws to eat the animal, right? So not all animals eat plants. Some animals, like the cheetah, eat other animals. So let me type that name. C-H-E-E-T-A-H, cheetah, right? This is a cheetah. Okay, so let's see what the next animal in this story is. Frogs and toads seek insects and snails to eat. A big frog goes after mice too. But frogs and toads have no teeth, so they must gulp down their meal. Right? They can't chew. You and me have teeth. But frogs have no teeth, so they're like this. They have to go and swallow their food all the way down into their belly. Here we can see a frog with his long tongue getting a bug, right? So his tongue will grab the bug and pull it in, and he'll go and swallow it down. Remember, we learned the word seek, right? Seek means to look for. So they're looking, they seek, and then they find a bug or an insect, and then they go and they spit out their tongue and get it. Okay. So this animal is a frog, and it eats other little bugs. It doesn't eat other animals like the cheetah, and it doesn't eat seeds, and it doesn't eat grass, right? Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next page. Some animals eat both plants and animals. An ostrich eats seeds and leaves, but it will search all over for insects, snakes, and lizards as well. So here's an ostrich. This bird, it's a bird, like the penguin. They're both birds, but it has a very long neck and very long legs. So remember, we talked about penguins, and the penguins have to waddle around, and they can't fly, they can only swim. Well, this bird is an ostrich, and this bird cannot swim, and it cannot fly, but it can run very fast. So this ostrich can almost run as fast as the cheetah. It can run around, I think, 50 miles per hour, which is like 90 to 100 kilometers per hour. It just uses its legs and run, right? And that's in order to get away from animals that are chasing it. If an animal chases it, then it can run fast to escape. It will escape danger that way. So remember, we learned the word search. Search means to look for, right? So it's looking for. So this ostrich is on the ground and it's looking. It's trying to find little bugs or snakes, right? Or lizards. And we said all over. Over means a big area, right? So not here. It can be over there or over there. Or if you say all over, it means everywhere. So this ostrich will look everywhere for these insects, snakes, and lizards. But If it cannot find the insects or snakes or lizards, what it will do is it will eat grass, okay, or plants. So it's sometimes like the hippo and sometimes like the frog, right? Because the frog eats bugs and the hippo eats grass. So it's kind of similar, the food it eats is kind of similar to those other two animals. Okay, what's this animal? A painted turtle eats plants, fish, and frogs. This reptile lives in lakes and ponds. It likes the cold water at first, but then it will come up on land to get warm. Okay, so here's a painted turtle, and it will eat plants. So it's kind of like the hippo, kind of like the ostrich, but it will also eat fish and frogs, right? So maybe it will eat this guy if it catches it, right? And so turtles are cold-blooded animals. So they don't feel hot or cold. They go into the water and their temperature gets cold. They go into the sun and their temperature gets hot. For us humans, our temperature always stays around 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So even if it's cold outside, our body tries to keep our inside temperature really warm. If it's hot outside, our body tries to keep our temperature cool. Okay? Okay. So we learned this word warm, right? Warm means to go from cold to hot. So maybe it's really cold in the water, but then it wants to warm up. So it goes from cold to warm. Or maybe it's warm and it wants to get hotter, so it warms up even more. So it goes from warm to hot. Okay? Okay. Wow! A bear may start its day by eating plants. Next, it may go fishing in a lake. After that, a bear may go hunting. Then it may even go to a campsite. So a bear may start, that means begin, okay? So maybe when it wakes up, it just eats plants. Then it can go into the lake and eat fish, right? It will try to catch a fish and eat that. Then the bear may go hunting. So then it may go try to catch other animals, like bunny rabbits, or maybe, I don't know, other animals, squirrels. Then it may even go to a campsite. So in America, we will go camping sometimes. So that means we get a group of people and we go out into the forest and we set up a tent. And we sleep inside the tent. But what we do is we have to bring food with us when we go out into the forest. And so bears will sometimes go into the area that you're sleeping and try to get your food. It's very dangerous. So it's important that you put your food in your car or you put your food far away from your campsite just in case a bear comes. When I was little, we had a bear come into our campsite, and we had a trailer, which is like it's something you can put a lot of things in and you can pull behind your car. And the bear ripped the door off the trailer because it wanted to eat the peanut butter inside the trailer. So we walked out and the bear was just, and it was, and bears are big. This bear weighed maybe 700 pounds. So that's around 400 kilograms. No, that's 300 kilograms. So that's a big bear, right? So it's very scary. You have to be very careful with bears. This is what we were talking about. Most bears will eat plants, animals, and people food. Is there any food left here to eat? If so, a bear will find it. In the wild, animals find food in lots of places. So this is the tent I was telling you about, right? And so the bear smelled food inside this tent, and it tore a hole in to the tent and went inside to look for food. It's very dangerous. If you were sleeping in there when the bear came in, you could get very hurt. So it's important to protect yourself from danger and take the food and put it way over here, maybe up in the tree. Okay? Okay. Now let's do our make connections. What do animals in the wild eat? Well, we learned that animals will eat plants or other animals or people food or fish or bugs, right? Or nuts. So there's lots of things animals can eat, right? Lots of things. But it just depends on what animal likes to eat what food. So that is the end of our story. And now we are going to learn some comprehension. Okay? So first we are going to learn about the main idea and key details. The main idea is what the selection is mostly about. Key details give information about the main idea. So for our last story that we read yesterday, we read about vultures, right? So the main idea was what vultures eat and how they eat it, right? Yeah. So then we talked about the key details, and we learned how the vultures eat their food and what they eat. Remember, they only eat dead animals. And then how they sleep, right? They sleep together in a tree, like a family. So now let's do an example from this story. Find text evidence. Find key details about what animals in the wild eat. So on page 60, animals need food to live and grow. But all animals don't eat the same things. Some big animals, such as hippos, eat plants. A hippo can eat more than 130 pounds of grass. So, the main idea of this story is what animals eat, right? What wild animals eat. And so now when we look for key details, we need to find something that tells us what animal eats what type of food, right? So we can see here that this story or this sentence is talking about hippos, right? So that's the animal. And then it needs to tell us about the plant too, or the food that it eats, right? And so we see in this sentence, it says hippos eat plants, right? So that is a key detail. Okay? So some big animals such as hippos eat plants. So that is a key detail that tells us about what animals eat. Okay? All right, let's go to the next page now. Okay, so here is our main idea and detail chart. So this is the main idea, and these are some details that we can talk about. So the main idea is animals in the wild eat many different things, right? That's the same main idea we were talking about up here, right? Talking about what animals in the wild eat. So our first detail is some animals, such as hippos, eat plants. Okay. Then our next detail is some animals, such as ostriches, eat both plants and animals. So the ostrich eats plants and animals, right? This is only plants. This is plants and animals. And for our last detail, we can say that some animals, such as frogs, eat other animals. Okay, so you have hippos that eat plants, ostriches that eat plants and animals, and frogs that only eat animals, right? So we can look up here, what other animals only eat plants? The squirrel! Yes, the squirrel only eats other plants, right? It only eats lots of plant seeds and nuts. So a squirrel eats the same kind of food as a hippo. They only eat plants. Now let's look for an animal that eats plants and animals. The ostrich is the animal we already talked about. The turtle eats plants, fish, and frogs. So the turtle doesn't eat the same food as the ostrich, but it eats plants and other animals, right? So it eats the same type of food as the ostrich. And our last kind of animal was an animal that only eats other animals, right? And so remember, we talked about the cheetah. The cheetah only eats other animals, right? They hunt and eat other animals. So we learned all about 6 different types of animals, and we can talk about those details, right? So this says, your turn. Talk about the main idea and details in Go Wild. So we just did that, right? The main idea, these details, and then the other animals that fit into these categories, right? Yeah, good. Okay, now let's go to our next page. Writing and grammar. Readers 2. Organization. Joe wrote a concluding sentence at the end of his seagulls report. Do seagulls eat plants? I saw one at the beach that did. Seagulls go after fish. One I saw even went after bugs. Seagulls eat almost anything. Okay, so your turn. Tell how Joe organized the end of his report. So at the beginning of the report, Joe asked a question, right? So we'll put a Q here for question. So his report was about what asked, do seagulls eat plants, right? So that was the information he wanted to find out. So he didn't know what they eat, but he decided to do research and find out what they eat. So he went to the beach and he looked at seagulls and he watched what they ate, right? So here's one sentence. The first sentence says that seagulls eat plants, right? Because he said, do seagulls eat plants? I saw one at the beach that did eat plants. So he saw a seagull that ate plants. So that answered his question. But when he was at the beach, he saw more seagulls that were going after fish. So that means seagulls eat plants and other animals, right? Other fish. And his last bird he saw even went after bugs. So this is the third seagull he saw that was trying to eat bugs. So now he saw that seagulls eat plants, fish, and bugs. So he determined after watching the seagulls that day that seagulls eat almost anything, right? So his report was structured with a question. Then he answered his question, but did even more research. And then he realized that seagulls eat plants, but they also eat fish and bugs. So he decided that they eat almost anything, right? Does that make sense? I think it does. So the main idea of this story is actually at the end, of his report. Seagulls eat almost anything, right? That's the main idea. You can put MI for main idea. And then all of the information above his main idea was information that was a key detail, right? So this is just another way to set up your report. Your concluding sentence can help you tell your readers what your main idea is. Okay? Okay. So let's go to the next page. Okay. Next page. The next page is writers. Read together. Go and do. The action words go and do tell about now. The action words went and did tell about the past. So if you say go and do, it means right now. Like I will, or I am going to the store. You say go, and you add ing because you're going now. Or you can say I will go to the store soon. That means it's almost in the present. So it's almost going to happen very soon. So let's read this story, these sentences. Do seagulls eat plants? Seagulls go after fish. So this is telling us about now. And the words went and did tell about the past. So now it's your turn. Find sentences with went and did in Joe's report. So let's find went and did. So here is do. So this is the present tense, right? So here's the next sentence. I saw one at the beach that did. So Joe wrote he saw. So that means it was in the past, right? Because you saw something. Saw is the word for doing something in the past. It already happened. And so he said, I saw one at the beach that did. That means when he's writing this report, he's not at the beach. He went to the beach first, looked around, and then he went home and wrote his report. Okay? Now let's see. Seagulls go after fish. So this is a statement in the present, right? One I saw even went after bugs. So here we have the word went. And again, we have the word saw. So this is, again, something that happened in the past. So he is writing about this when he was at home, right? So in his report, Joe switches from present tense with do and go, and past tense when he's writing about what he saw in the past when he was at the beach. Okay? So let's erase that and write our own sentences to try ourselves. Okay. So let's use the word go. You can say, I go to the store with my mother and father, right? That means you go to the store with your mother and father. That's present. That's telling about right now. Another word you can say, another sentence you can say for go, is you can say, I go to school every day, right? Or you can say, or you can say, I go to school from Monday to Friday. Okay? So that's the word go. Here, let's do this. Okay. Now let's use the word went. Okay? So this is past tense now. went. I went to the beach with my mother and father last week. Okay, so this is telling us something about the past. Last week, you went to the beach. Okay, you cannot say, I go to the beach with my mother and father last week. That's wrong. Nope. If you want to talk about the past, you have to make sure you use the word went. Another example is, I went to my friend's house this past weekend. So this past weekend, so if today is Tuesday, for example, 3 days ago, Monday, Sunday, Saturday, in the past, 3 days in the past, you went to your friend's house. Okay? So now, let's do, see, I said do. Let's do sentences for do. Okay, so do. I do my homework at night. Right? So you can say, I do my homework at night. That talks about now, right? Or you can also say, my friend will do his homework quickly and we will go out to play together, right? So that's also talking about now. Your friend is working on his homework now and he will do it quickly so that you can go and play together. All right, now let's make one more box here and we can talk about did, and then we are done for the day. Okay, so let's talk about did, D-I-D. So you can say, I did my, I did my homework at school, so I can go out to play when I get home. So this means it's maybe 5 o'clock at night or 4 o'clock, and you're talking about that you did your homework at school. So you did it in the past. So maybe you did it at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, and now it's 4 o'clock. So you're saying you did it before so that you can go out and play when you get home. Let's think of one more idea. I did a lot of chores in my room. Oh, we can say, instead of chores, we can say cleaning. I did a lot of cleaning in my room last week. So I did a lot of cleaning in my room last week means that last week, so if today is Monday, then Sunday, or today's Tuesday, then Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday was last week, right? So that means you did it in the past. So you did it before. So it's over and done and in the past. Okay? So that is our lesson for today. You can try using these words, go, went, do, did, with your mother and your father, and you can look when you're outside to try to find animals and see what they're eating. Okay? Good. Well, now it's time for me to say bye-bye. All right? But we have more lessons this week, and we're going to read about more animals tomorrow. So I will see you next time. Okay? Bye-bye.